Okay, here we have a tier list for the teams. You've seen the champions tier list already. If you haven't seen the champions tier list, watch that video. But this is going to be the tier list for the teams at Worlds. And it's pretty much, what you would think. So I really have no idea about these wildcard teams. I don't even know where I would begin. I'd probably have to watch 5 or 10 games of all of them and compare them to each other. These wildcard teams are in the D tier or a little bit below. But if there's any really really team, I know Gam and Talon are sometimes a little better. Let me know in the comments. In the D tier, we have 100 Thieves. We love Sniper, but he's just probably not a World's caliber top laner right now. Maybe he will be one day. Fingers crossed. I'm a big NA fan, big Sniper fan, but I think at this moment from his gameplay, he's kind of a tier below almost every top laner that's in one of these major regions. And then Mad Lions had a terrible summer season, kind of snuck in there at the championship, but I don't expect a lot coming out of them. I think they're safely a little tier below these other NA and European teams. Okay, Team Liquid and FlyQuest, both pretty good teams out of North America. But good in North America does not always mean good on the world stage. So while they're probably a tier above all of these other teams, they're probably a good tier below most of the Eastern region teams. So Team Liquid and FlyQuest, I could see either one getting the advantage or going further in the tournament. One of them is not clearly better to me. Team Liquid, the roster is Impact, Umpty, APA, Jan, and Core JJ. Impact has been playing really well this year. It's fun to see him. It'll be really fun to see him on the world stage. He plays Ornn sometimes, who I think is a really strong pick. He plays Cassante, he plays Rumble, he plays a lot of really strong champs, and he plays them well. Umpty is so-so. APA is hard to say. He's really good on Ziggs. If that gets banned out, it's unclear exactly how good he is on some of these other champs compared to some of the other really strong mid laners we'll see at Worlds. FlyQuest, their roster is Weibo in the top lane, Inspired, Quad, Masu, and Busio. Weibo is a good player, but we're talking about some of the best top laners in the world in this tournament. He's probably going to have a tough time against most of the Eastern region top laners. It's kind of hard to imagine exactly what path FlyQuest is going to beat some of these top 8 teams. What lane are they going to play through? It's just really hard for me to see that happening. Fnatic, their roster is Oscarinin, Razork in the jungle, Humanoid in the mid lane, Noah and June bot lane. Again, this may be a really strong roster in Europe, but Humanoid on the world stage against these top 8 mid laners, hard to see a win there. And Oscarinin against these top 8 top laners, hard to see a win there. So I think there's a pretty sharp divide between this C and this B tier, where B tier we really might see something happening out of G2 and Dplus. C tier, really hard to see. I think there's a pretty big gap, bigger than we've seen in a while, between the Western teams and the Eastern teams in this tournament. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I love Western teams, but that's just the impression that I'm getting. Here in the B tier, we have Dplus KIA and G2. I think there's also probably a pretty big gap between this B tier and this A tier, in the sense that people in the A tier these teams are likely to actually win the whole thing, whereas Dplus KIA and G2, I think, pretty unlikely to win the whole thing, but somewhat more likely to make a deep run. And again, G2, it really depends, because the team has huge variability. The G2 roster is Broken Blade top, Yike jungle, Caps mid lane, Hansama AD carry, and Mickey support. I think that a lot of those players can perform at the caliber of a Worlds team, but Caps is pretty much the only one that I think is pretty consistently the Worlds caliber. A lot of the others, Broken Blade, Hansama, can often perform below the level you would really need to make a really deep run and win the whole thing. That said, G2 and T1 are the 2 teams that I think have the most clutch factor, and anything could happen there. Dplus KIA, their roster is Kingin in the top lane, Lucid in the jungle, Showmaker in the mid lane, Aiming in the bot lane, and Moham support. Kingen has a really huge champion pool, a really great player. It'll be fun to see what he pulls out. He's been known to play Gragas, Aatrox, Gangplank, TF, Aurora, a lot of those less common picks. So win or lose, I think it'll be really fun to see what he pulls out in the top lane. Showmaker, I think, is probably a little on the bottom half of these top 8 mid laners. And then Aiming and Moham, both great bot laners. So I think it's going to be dependent a lot on the top side, whether Kingen and Showmaker really show up. That's going to determine how deep this team gets. But I think there's so many amazing top laners and mid laners in these top 8 teams that they're just not going to be able to make the final push and really make it to that world's title grand championship. SKT is a little bit in a tier of their own. I wasn't sure whether to put them here or the tier below, because like G2, they've been a little bit inconsistent, but they have those huge pop-off moments. They have very large champ pools, so the results can be very swingy and you never know exactly what you're going to get. Their roster is Zeus in the top lane, Owner jungle, Faker mid, Gumayusi bot, and Keria bot. Zeus looks like he has a really strong champ pool. Jax, Gnar, Rumble, Cassante, these are all top tier champions. You can look at that tier list video. Owner is playing Skarner sometimes, it looks like maybe. Owner is a really strong jungler. Faker is, of course, an amazing player still. If Azir comes back into the meta, because people are maybe playing less of those AD carry mid lanes, Faker's one of the best Azir players in the world. And then Gumayusi, great player, has a huge champion pool, could see anything. MF, Ziggs, Ashe, Zeri, Caitlyn, Sivir, Draven, Nyla, could be anything. And then Keria also could pull out some weird stuff. The Caitlyn Lux, they do sometimes the bot lane. Sometimes Keria does the Bard, which I don't think is a very strong pick. It's very risky. But Keria also likes to play the Ornn support. There are a couple of players in this tournament playing Ornn support, and I think that's really strong. Ornn, just as strong in the support role as in the top role, in my opinion. So T1, always a fan favorite, amazing to watch, could play any kind of comp, can have huge power spikes, huge upsets. Definitely one of the most fun teams to watch. Okay, and then you have LNG, who I think is kind of the weakest of these top 6 teams. You know, very strong team, but not absolute top. Their entire top side can look a little shaky sometimes. Weiwei jungle, Scout in the mid, Zika in the top. So it really just depends how they perform on the day, obviously. Some spicy picks that there's a chance you'll see. Zika sometimes pulls out the Ryze, the Camille, and Weiwei sometimes plays those carry junglers, Brand, Graves, Karthus. So those could be fun to see. Weibo Gaming, a lot of people like this team, known for kind of being a fan favorite. I think they finished 4th in the LPL, but still have a lot of power on this team. Breathe, super strong in the top lane. Xiaohu, super strong in the mid lane. He's got really good macro, really good map play. And then Tarzan, of course, a legend in the jungle. Light, Crisp, I mean, the roster's just stacked. Really good players in every role. Might see some spicy picks from Breathe. Sometimes he plays the Mordekaiser. And Tarzan also plays the Karthus sometimes. Xiaohu sometimes plays TF as well, so we'll see if that comes back into the meta. Gen G, really strong team, very interesting team. Keen in the top lane, just loves to like spam Cassante game after game. But he's also known to be a Jax player, and Jax is looking to be stronger than ever this Worlds. So if we see him pop off on that Jax, that could be really fun. I love Jax. Love to watch him. I think he's a really fun, exciting champ. And probably more exciting for most people than seeing more Cassante at this point. Canyon, of course, one of the best junglers in the world. If you watched my champ pool video, my champion tier list video, you know that I'm not a huge fan necessarily of junglers who like to play Nidalee, and Canyon does like to play Nidalee, but I think to the extent that he can help himself and not play Nidalee, definitely one of the strongest junglers we'll see at Worlds. Chovy, of course, Church of Chovy, lots of huge fans of Chovy. What to say, he's an amazing mid laner. Pays, incredibly strong AD carry. Lehen's very solid support. So just incredible in every position. This is what you would expect out of an S tier team. Good chance of winning the championship. All 4 of these teams, I think, have a good chance of winning the championship. In terms of spicy picks, Chovy sometimes plays the Hui, who may be a little higher priority this Worlds if people are playing less of the AD carry mid stuff. Canyon sometimes plays Skarner, who I'm a huge fan of. Sometimes plays Karthus, who I'm less of a huge fan of. Keen plays some spicy picks sometimes, Gangplank, Udyr, Twisted Fate in the top lane. And then Lehens can play some really spicy picks in the bot lane. Ornn, Poppy, Blitzcrank, Lulu, Nami. A lot of those champs I don't think are the best, but definitely fun to see. Hanwha Life is an amazing team. Very not clear to me whether they or Gen.G are better. They recently beat Gen.G, but they're both just incredible teams. I kind of have them side by side. Their roster: Doran in the top lane, Peanut jungle, Zeka mid lane, Viper AD carry, and Delight support. All those players are amazing. Doran is a really good Jax player, so excited to see some of that. He just plays good champs: Cassante, Renekton, Rumble, Gnar. Peanut, maybe the best jungler in the world, playing strong champs: Vi, Maokai. Zeka is a Yone enjoyer, very good Yone player. If you watched the champion tier list video, you know that Yone is not my favorite champ, so we'll see how that goes. But if anyone can pull the Yone off, I have faith in Zeka. Viper, probably one of the strongest AD carries in the world, and Delight, an amazing support to him. Sometimes plays the Poppy, who I think is a really good support champion. In terms of spicy picks you might see, Doran occasionally plays the Aatrox, Twisted Fate, Mordekaiser. Peanut occasionally plays Poppy, Kha'Zix, even Shyvana. And Delight also plays the Bard on occasion. Top Esports, really incredible team. I have them ranked second here. He pulls out the Mordekaiser sometimes, which can be fun to see. Tian, great jungler, plays all the meta junglers, really, really strong on all of those meta junglers. You have Lilia, Maokai, Ivern, stuff like that. Cream, really strong mid laner. Doesn't have maybe as much recognition as some of the other mid laners. And then Jackie Love, legendary AD carry player, really strong, and Mako, super strong in the support. 369 does sometimes play some Ornn top, and I think that he's good on Ornn, and I think Ornn is an amazing champ. So I think the more you can get 369 on Ornn duty, the better this team will perform. I really hope to see some of that. And then BLG, I have seeded as number 1, but again, all 4 of these teams are incredible. Really hard to decide between them. Bin in the top lane, Wei in the jungle, Knight in the mid lane, Elk in the bot lane on support. And I think for me, really the focus is there. Elk and On, possibly, the strongest bot lane in the entire world. Elk is so good. He's got a huge champion pool. He plays everything. He's amazing on everything. Knight, really strong mid lane player, Yone player. Wei plays a lot of champions that I like: Maokai, Lilia, Brand. There are a couple of occasions, if you watch, the few losses that BLG had over the course of the season, where Bin can be a little bit inty. If there's a kind of shakiest link on the team, it's probably him. So keep an eye on him during the tournament. And if it's looking like he's getting a little shaky in some of these games, maybe adjust your pick'em accordingly. But if he's looking really strong, the team is just insanely strong in every lane. So that's what I have for my World's team tier list. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments if you think I have any team grossly misplaced, and I will probably be making small adjustments to this throughout the tournament, and I'll be using this to guide my pick'em, and every time we do the pick'em, we'll make a new video for that. And the crystal ball is starting tomorrow, and so expect a video for that either tomorrow or a couple days after that. So be sure to subscribe for that so you don't miss that, and leave a comment, hit the like button, and I will see you all next time.